The commission revealed decades of pain and suffering in residential schools, but also showed us the terrifying statistics of being a child in one. And the warnings about inhuman conditions go back more than 100 years. Senior correspondent Adrian Arsenault has more on that.
Looking back at it now, some of the facts about residential schools in this country are headline-making travesties that somehow just bypassed the bulk of Canadians over the years. To hear them now is to not even really be able to process them properly. Here's one. Some of those residential schools had cemeteries, but not playgrounds. Death was always near. The chances of a child dying from life in a residential school, 1 in 25. And for a little perspective, the chances of a Canadian soldier dying during the Second World War, 1 in 26. The misery recognized so early on. According to Saturday Night Magazine, telling a story about residential schools back on November 23rd, 1907, Indian boys and girls are dying like flies. Even war seldom shows as large a percentage of fatalities as does the education system we have imposed on our Indian wards. In the early decades of the program, the chances of dying were even higher. 1 in 2 children didn't survive in the early years of residential schools. 50% of those enrolled didn't make it. And yet, these schools stayed open for at least another 60 years. Of course, the children weren't always considered children. Documents from 1913 refer to them as inmates, and the inmates were being wholesale taken down by malnutrition, tuberculosis, influenza, neglect, abuse, fires, grotesque indignities. So many of these details today being spoken of from this report, the report from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a commission that was born of the largest class action lawsuit in Canadian history, and without a doubt, the most wrenching. Adrian Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.